Yeah, you'll like that. It's great beer. Okay.
All right, so here we are in the bar down the street from the courthouse after George's, let's call it mistrial. This is Jim Babb. What do you think of what you saw, Jim?
It was exactly what I expected. Total injustice, but yet I'm still just stunned by the arrogance and the evil that goes on in that palace of misery. George was forced to agree that a certain chain of events that occurred that were totally fabricated. I could not believe, I take that back, I can believe because they've done nothing but lie, but they will say anything, they will do anything. They have not the slightest remorse or hesitation to completely fabricate testimony to persecute an innocent person. It's a horrible experience for anybody that has to go in there. God help anybody that has to go into any kind of courtroom. If you expect justice, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Thank you.
Sensitive.
Not sensitive to the rights of...
Sensitive to your rights?
The court is not, or is it I forget what it was exactly.
We need the quote exactly.
I know, because you had it written down exactly.
Was absolutely shocked that Jim Babb was shocked.
Okay, this is Julian Heicklen, who's shocked. Well,
all of this was standing operating procedure.
Standard operating procedure. SOP.
That's the part that's done to me. Jim Babb was obvious.
I did not make one face or bullshit or anything of this kind, you know. I was tempted to.
Reviving the thugs.
yeah.
Cheers.
They've got the firepower, but we've got the truth.
The sarcasm.
Yeah, at least we're able to maintain our sense of humor.
They got the raspberries.
Yeah,
Did he actually stick his tongue out?
No, the woman did.
did.
She would. Right as we got on the elevator, when I looked at her, I said, "And you know what you did was wrong too." And she went,
Is this the redheaded woman?
Is that the redhead?
yeah.
So what's the exact quote?
The quote of the day. Now, who remembers the judge's name?
Henry Perkins.
Oh, you know what his name is?
Henry Perkins.
Judge Perkins. The system is not sensitive to your rights.
That's right.
Freudian slip. Yep.
Was
Truth
it?
and Freudian slips.
I don't know if it was a slip or
The system is not insensitive.
I think it's for sure
That's
what he's
he
going to
meant.
claim he meant to say.
Right.
But
I'm going to put it on
That's
my
not the
Facebook
reality.
right now.
The reality is more in line with what he did say.
Yeah, really.
You know, and of course he used 1995, the blowing up of the Marrow building is, you know, an excuse for all of this. You know, sometimes you have to sacrifice your rights for the good of the many. You know,
That's always the
because the
argument.
marshals were, you know, just looking out for the security of the
They
building.
had no choice.
They had
really
no choice. As a matter of fact, it was their obligation, according to the government's lawyer. They had an obligation.
It is their obligation to check to see that the building is not in danger.
Sure,
It wasn't
but
their obligation to think that because George
Just
was out
was
there
filming.
taking a picture that the building was going to fall down.
But remember, they were really scared because they couldn't see his hands.
even though they knew he had a camera in his hands to begin with, which was the reason they initially approached him.
Why are you guys baiting me? You're just trying to get a rise. I'm very easily excited.
Well, you can let it out here. Yeah, you can let it out here with us. But it is,
It's no fun letting it out on you guys.
well, no, not on us, with us.
I like to let it out on the judges, and I do.
That's why I'm going to your any trials that you're willing to show up for. I will also attend.
And every judge so far I've had, I've insulted in one way or another. The first judge did my case. I sued the police and the judges and a lot of people once. She allowed the suit of the police, but she said I couldn't sue the judges because they had immunity. And
Who had immunity?
the judges. And then at the end she says, if you appeal this, it will be taken with prejudice in the court. So I had her recused, and I said that it is not appropriate for a judge to tell a litigant that he can't exercise is legal rights.
Right. Basically, she was
The next judge-
basically she was threatening you.
The next judge actually threatened me with sanctions if I would file an appeal.
You mean she more explicitly
And then I
threatened you.
was more explicit in my comment. Said it's outrageous that a judge of a court would threaten the litigant for exercising his legal rights. That judge got recused. Then the third one is one from I just outright called him a liar and in collusion with the police and mentally incompetent, and I've asked for another judge, and it's in the circuit court now. And the fourth one is the one I'm just starting with in the criminal trial against me. And I asked him for my rights. I wanted to have his opinion on a brief I wrote in, and I wanted my property back, and I wanted jury trial, and I wanted him to say that all this would occur. And what he said back, he said, well, we'll have a conference in September to discuss this matters. And I wrote back to him and I said, these are not discussable matters. These are my rights. And that I demand that I get them, and he should be recused, and I sent a copy to the chief judge of the court. Demanding his recused. I will come back with something, and I told somebody here what my reply will be the next time when they refuse me. I told you, didn't I, about the boats? Anyway, I'm going to write him a letter that says, one very dark night in the Pacific Ocean, two boats were headed for a head-on collision. And this is the conversation that followed. First boat, second boat, we're headed for a collision, change your course. Second boat to the first boat, I agree, we're headed for a collision, change your course. First boat, I'm an admiral in the U.S. Navy, I'm on an aircraft carrier with 5,000 people, you change your course. Second boat, I'm a lighthouse, your move. Then I'm going to tell him, in this trial, you are the admiral, the district court is your aircraft carrier, and I am the lighthouse. Your move, Admiral. And then at the bottom I'm going to say, I'm sorry that I didn't clarify this earlier.
I'm sorry if there was any fog that you could not see through.
No, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to apologize for not clarifying the issue sooner.
Right.
Now, when is your opportunity to have the fun you're looking for?
What do you mean? I'm having it.
No, I mean, to his face. When will you be confronting the judge?
My guess is never. I don't think they're going to want to go.
Man, I'm hungry.
That's
All I had was a slice of pizza today.
My guess is they're not going to want to see me in court after they see what I send them in the mail. But that's the fun of the game.
You're not an efficient use of their of their time because your time per money received isn't their hourly rate isn't what it is what they have come to expect from their normal clientele
or the proper obsequiousness
from their normal victims.
In State College when I lived in Center County, Pennsylvania.
I wonder what the average rate for a typical judge is, based upon their hierarchy, whether it's in the state or federal, whether it's district judge or so forth. What the hourly rate is, kickbacks.
They don't have an hourly rate. You get a yearly salary.
I know, but they must get kickbacks from some of the fines and so forth that they collect.
Well, not legally, but they probably do.
How? Come on.
That's why every once in a while.
The whole money-making racket can't exist without that kind of corruption.
I understand.
Without that kind of corruption happening.
I understand, but that's not the... Anyway.
Yeah, sure, it's not something that's written down. But I'm just curious what their hourly rate is.
Anyway,
obviously, it's not good with people like you. That's why they want you out of their system.
When I was in Center County, Pennsylvania...
They're not going to make much money off
I
of you.
got arrested there 15 times. Finally, the chief judge of the Court of Common Pleas ordered the police. He actually issued an order that I was not to be arrested and brought into court again. It just wasn't worth it for him.
Yeah, he's not making any money off of it.
I mean, I'm sure if I killed somebody, he'd change the order. I mean, for the crap that I was pulling, it was just sucking up all the courts. And of course, I write motion after motion. I mean, I write briefs that are 100, 150 pages long with all sorts of references and demand specific answers to everything that's in there. I mean, in fact, it's so bad now, in both of my cases, they have two judges working at it simultaneously because one can't handle it.
Well, that certainly is cutting into their hourly rate.
Or maybe they measure it on a weekly or monthly basis, you know, I mean, not to be so nitpicky.
I'm sure they just don't get this shit. And they just want to get rid of me as fast as they can.
Had his clasp between his legs. But they said they went to get him because he was videotaping federal property, which because of 1995 and the Merrow building, you know, they're worried that he might be some sort of terrorist. But then they said they don't know what he had in his hand. Wait a minute, but they just said that they went to confront him because he was videotaping.
The whole thing was a series of lies. They from the get-go, they put in one affidavit that had one series of events. Then they realized that wasn't going to fly, so they withdrew that, made another oath, you know, signed under oath, an affidavit to the court with a totally different narrative. Okay, what happened? Then they realized that none of that's going to fly, so they're like, and we can't actually say we arrested him for filming because that's not illegal. So they ended up getting a plea bargain where he said he said that he refused a lawful order to show his hands, which actually never took place. I mean, I was there, I watched it. They just make up everything, totally make it up. Yeah, I mean, by threatening him with like, look, you better go along with this. Or
what did he do that made them upset that he had a video camera?
He was filming them actually being jerks because like a woman started to kind of muscle in on him. Like, hey, come on,
get your hands off of me unless I'm under arrest.
That's basically what he said.
Yes, he did.
And he's filming this, so it's like, this is like, wow, you're not obeying our authority. You know, so like, wow, this is going to reflect poorly on our ability to rule the peons. Wow. So, you know, I mean, and you know, they went after him, and he held on to his camera, and they wrestled him to the ground with a bunch of guys.
Tape?
Yeah, and they deleted it. They deleted the footage.
Wow. That's pretty messed up.
I mean, would you expect any less from federal thugs? I mean, these are nice guys, man.
The funny thing is that that's why people blow up buildings. Because of oppression.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Not
which they brought up during his trial.
But like what they did is why people blow up buildings. Which is funny.
They cited 1995 as a reason for
them to be all scared.
For the marshals to be worried that he was filming the building.
Right.
He might be trying something, you know.
Right. And the funny thing is he wasn't.
Right.
But then you get cases like this where somebody does that to a guy and he's just trying to videotape something, and that's why he's alive.
Decide, you could go across the street and videotape the thing.
Right.
Yeah, right.
The fact that it's
I mean, if you were actually
on the sidewalk or across the street doesn't make any difference.
Well, it's more than that. You can go to Google and get a picture of just about anything.
Yeah, right.
You know what? If you ever get into the federal market,
Google and get in.
Google's got all the streets. You know.
the scum, the lying scum.
Anyway, he takes all this stuff to a person. He's still young and innocent. He thought that he
How long did he?
No, I didn't expect justice, but it's still.
Did he doing time at all?
Well, he was in jail for 2 days and then under house arrest for a couple weeks with like an ankle bracelet.
Did he get time served?
He got time served and $525 fine. Yep.
You know, he should have made that point. They're hitting him with time served, it's the 2 days, but all that time under house arrest. That should have negated the fine.
That didn't come up. Maybe he could sue them for false arrest under for that part.
They don't want to bring that up. I mean, that's bad publicity to talk about being people under house arrest. They don't like to bring that up. They don't like to bring too much publicity to the fact that they're putting ankle bracelets on people. And it's happening in an increasing amount of cases where they're doing that kind of stuff.
People outside of buildings.